Hi guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today our topic is Athelstan and it's our first vlog. Athelstan was the great emperor of England at that time. In this topic I will describe his wars and his background. Athelstan was king of Anglo-Saxon from 1924 to 1927 and the king of English from 1927 to his death in 1939. He was the son of King Edward the Elder and his first wife Equine. Modern histories regarded him as the first king of England and one of the greatest Anglo-Saxon kings. He never married and had no children. He was succeeded by his self-brother Edmund. When Edward died in July 1924, Athelstan was accepted by Americans as king. His half-brother Alfred may have been recognized as a king in Wessex, but died within 3 weeks of their father's death. Athelstan encountered resistance in Wessex for several months and was not crowned until September 1925. In 1927, he conquered the last remaining Viking kingdom, York, making him the first Anglo-Saxon ruler of the whole of England. In 1934, he invaded Scotland and forced Constantine to submit to him. Athelstan's rule was represented by Scots and Vikings, and in 1937 they invaded England. Athelstan defeated them at the Battle of Brunanburh, a great victory that gave him great prestige both in British Isles and on continent. After his death in 1939, the Vikings seized back control of York and it was not finally reconquered until 1954. Athelstan centralized government. He increased control over the production of charters and summoned leading figures from distant areas to his councils. These meetings were also attended by rulers from outside his territory, especially Welsh king, who thus acknowledged his overlordship. More legal texts survive from his region than from any other 10th century English king. They show his concern about whispered robberies and they caused to social order. His legal reforms build whispered robberies and he was one of the most pious West Saxon kings and was known for collecting relics and funding churches. His household was center of English learning during his reign, and it is laid the foundation for Benedictine monastic reform later in the century. No other West Saxon king played as important a role in European politics as Athelstan, and he arranged the marriage of several of his sisters to continental rulers. So our next topic is background of the great emperor Athelstan. By the 9th century, the many kings of early Anglo-Saxon periods had been consolidated into 4: Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria, and East Anglia. In the 8th century, Mercia had been the most powerful kingdom in southern England, but in the early 9th, Wessex became dominant under Athelstan's great-grandfather Albert. In the middle of the century, England came under increasing attack from Viking raids, culminating in invasion by a great Heathen army in 1865. By 1878, the Vikings had overrun East Anglia, Northumbria and Mercia and nearly conquered Wessex. The West Saxons fought back under Alfred the Great, and he achieved a decisive victory at the Battle of Edington. Alfred and the Viking leader Guthrum agreed on a division that gave the Anglo-Saxon Western Mercia and East Mercia the Vikings. In 1819, renewed king attack was successfully fought off by Alfred, assisted by his son Edward and Ethel, Lord of Mercians. Ethel ruled English Mercia under Alfred was married to his daughter Ethelbert. Alfred died in 1899 and was succeeded by Edward. Ethelbert was son of Ethelred, King Alfred's older brother and predecessor as king, made a bid for power, but was king at the Battle of the Hall in 1902. Little is known of welfare between the English and Danes over the next few years, but in 909 Edward sent a West Saxon and Mercian army to revenge Northumbria. The following year, the Northumbrian Danes attacked Mercia but suffered a decisive defeat at the Battle of Hall. Ethel died in 1911 and was succeeded as ruler of Mercia by his widow Ethelfrid. Over the next decade, Edward and Ethelfrid conquered Viking Mercia and East Anglia. Ethelfrid died in 1918 and was briefly succeeded by her daughter Elfwine, but in same year Edward deposed her and took direct control of Mercia. When Edward died in 1925, he controlled all of England south of Humber. The Viking kings Cedric ruled the kingdom of York in southern Northumbria, but Edred maintained Anglo-Saxon rule at least part of former kingdom of Barnia from his base in Pembroke in North Northumbria. Count Destine ruled Scotland apart from southwest, which was the British kingdom of Cycle. Wales was divided into a number of small kingdoms, including Deheubarth in southwest, Gwent in the southeast, immediately north of Gwent, and Gwent in north. Early life of Athelstan. According to Anglo-Norman historian William of Malmesbury, Athelstan was 30 years old when he came to the throne in 1924, which would mean that he was born around 894. He was the oldest son of Edward the Elder. He was Edward's only son by his first consort, Equine. Very little is known about Equine, and she is not named in any contemporary source. Medieval chronicles have varying description of her rank. One describes her as ignorable consort of inferior birth, while others describe her birth as noble. Modern historians also disagree about her status. Simon Kenias and Richard Albert believe that leading figures in Wessex were unwilling to accept Athelstan as the king in 1924, partly because that leading figure in Wessex were unwilling to accept Athelstan as king in 1924, because his mother has been Edward the Elder concubine. However, Barbara York and Sarah Wood agreed that allegation Athelstan was illegitimate were a product of dispute over succession, and that there is no reason of doubt that she was Edward's legitimate wife. She may have been related to St. Dunstan. William of Malmesbury wrote that Alfred the Great honored his young grandson with a ceremony in which he gave a scarlet cloak, a belt set and gems, and sword with a gilded scabbard. Medieval Latin scholar Michael Lepage and historian Michael Wood see the destination Athelstan as the potential there at a time when he claimed Alfred's nephew. Ethelbert to the throne represented a threat to the succession of Albert's direct line, but historians suggested that it should not seen in the context of conflict between Edward and Albert in 1890s.